Hey everyone, before we dive into this story, please consider subscribing to my channel for more content like this. My name is Clarabelle Thornton. One evening, my sister demanded I find another seat at the restaurant, declaring I wasn't true kin. Giggles erupted around the table, and then they handed me a $3,500 bill. I settled it quietly, my fingers trembling, but deep within, something broke irreparably. The clatter of cutlery and the soft murmur of nearby conversations filled the dining room. Yet, after Elaine's sharp words sliced through, everything faded into a dull hum for me. My chair made a faint screech as I rose, masking the quiver in my legs. I stepped toward a small table by the bar, each tap of my shoes echoing amid hushed whispers and sly glances from strangers who caught the sting of my embarrassment. Settling alone, I clasped my hands, the weight of their stares heavier than the ornate chandelier overhead. From my new spot, their voices still reached me. Victor bragging about his stocks, Harold chuckling over a tired tale, Margaret lauding Elaine's choice of wine. Their laughter surged again, as if my banishment was mere amusement. When the meal ended and dessert spoons clinked, I steeled myself for the final blow. The waiter approached, pausing briefly before sliding the bill my way. My gaze fell to the figure scrawled on it. $3,500. A gasp caught in my chest. Elaine reclined, her smirk calculated, and said with a honeyed venom, "Go ahead, Clarabelle. Think of it as a token of gratitude for the years we housed you." My hand shook as I slipped my card into the folder, my signature unsteady. I forced a smile for the waiter, hiding the shame burning inside. As I returned the folder, a resolve solidified within me. That moment, their chuckles, the bill, Elaine's triumphant gaze, carved itself into me like a wound. I left the table with my chin up, but inside, I carried a promise as cutting as shattered glass. They would never again define my value. I grew up surrounded by reminders I didn't belong. On Victor's 16th birthday, a shiny new car sparkled in the driveway, neighbors fawning, while I walked miles to school in leaky shoes. Elaine received dresses in crisp tissue, vibrant and new, while I wore faded clothes that smelled of musty closets. When I dared ask about my future, the response was a curt reminder to be thankful for a roof. If not for Eleanor, I might have believed their narrative. She alone truly saw me, attending my graduation and pressing a book into my hands, her voice firm amidst the gym's clamor. "You don't need their validation, Clarabelle. You'll forge your own worth." Her words took root, outlasting every slight. Though Eleanor rarely challenged the family's cruelty, her watchful eyes cataloged each hurt, silently affirming I wasn't imagining it. That night at the restaurant, I planned to slip away unnoticed after paying, my humiliation complete. But Eleanor's chair scraped loudly, silencing the room. She stood, cane steady, her voice commanding every corner. "I won't stand by while you tear Clarabelle down." The chatter stopped, forks paused. My heart raced as she pulled an envelope with a wax seal from her bag. "I signed a new will yesterday," she announced. "Every asset, every business, every share goes to Clarabelle. None of you inherit." Her words hit like lightning. Victor's glass crashed to the floor. Elaine's jaw dropped, her face twisting. Harold and Margaret paled, my pulse thundering as the elegant restaurant transformed into a battleground where I was no longer on the sidelines, but at its heart, the storm's epicenter. Eleanor's declaration spread like wildfire. Soon, my phone buzzed with messages, Victor's terse threats, Elaine's venomous rants. One night, Victor's voice cut through, icy and biting. "Clarabelle, this farce won't stand. We're suing you. Haven't you shamed us enough? Now you're stealing." Alone in my Portland apartment, streetlights casting shadows on the walls, his words stung. Not from shock, but from familiarity. I'd always been the outcast, the disposable one. Now, in the light of truth, I was painted as a thief. Tabloids pounced, headlines screaming, adopted daughter seizes fortune, and saint or schemer? Paparazzi snapped me at the grocery store, at my office. Each photo twisted to fit their narrative. Online, strangers gleefully dissected my life, their comments a cacophony of judgment. The first real blow came when I learned Victor had hired a private investigator to dig into my past. Then Elaine took to a TV studio, tearfully claiming to millions I'd exploited Eleanor's frailty. The host nodded solemnly. The audience murmured in pity. Watching from my apartment, I felt like a villain in someone else's script. But then, an unexpected turn. One afternoon, Eleanor called me to her study by Lake Oswego. Papers covered her desk, thick with proof. "Clarabelle," she said softly, "you need to see this. Harold and Margaret didn't just neglect you, they stole from you. $600,000 your parents left for your care and education. They spent it all." I scanned the documents, my chest tightening. Victor's private school tuition, Elaine's European trips, family home upgrades, all funded by what was mine. For years, I'd questioned if I was ungrateful. Now, the truth was clear. I'd been robbed since my parents' deaths. The next morning, beside Eleanor, her hand shaky as she held her teacup, I asked the question that weighed on me. "How long have you known?" Her sigh carried years of burden. 2 years. I had my lawyer investigate quietly. I needed proof. "Clarabelle, this isn't just about money. It's about how they used you, built their lives on what was yours. I won't leave this world with that lie intact." Her eyes, though shadowed, held mine firmly. "The doctors say stage 4, pancreatic. My time's short, but I want justice for you." Her words cut deeper than any insult, blending relief that she'd seen the truth with grief over her fading health. She gripped my hand, frail but resolute. "We'll do this together. A press conference, all the evidence laid out. You won't be silent anymore." Looking at her, unyielding despite her fragility, hope flickered within me. This time, the world would hear my truth. Rain pricked my coat like a warning as Eleanor and I entered a crowded conference room, cameras flashing like a hostile sky. Microphones stretched toward us, hungry for truth. I sat beside her, gripping the armrest, as Caldwell arranged documents for the lenses. Eleanor spoke, her voice steadier than my nerves, detailing decades of small cruelties, then revealing the misappropriated funds meant for me. The room held its breath. Then Elaine stormed in, mascara streaking, voice dripping with theatrical rage, accusing me. Cameras devoured her outburst. Instead of shrinking, Eleanor leaned close and whispered, "See, they unravel themselves." Her words sparked like a flame in the dark. I sat, the world watching as my wounds became public. Elaine's outburst went viral by evening, social media buzzing with sympathy and scrutiny. 3 days later, the family sued, alleging I coerced Eleanor. The narrative flipped. I was now the accused. Rumors swirled. A supposed affair with a rich client, hints of scandal needing no proof to wound. A man's voice warned me to back off or face exposure. My hand shook, not just from fear, but from a long-suppressed fury. Caldwell laid our evidence across Eleanor's table. Speaking bluntly, they'll create chaos. We counter with truth. Watching Eleanor, her breath shallow but eyes fierce, I saw what we fought for, not wealth, but my identity. In the courtroom, tension hung thick. I wheeled Eleanor to our table, Caldwell's calm presence grounding me. Across the aisle, Harold, Margaret, Victor, and Elaine sat, their tailored suits and sharp glares like weapons. Their lawyer rose, voice slick, painting me as a schemer who preyed on Eleanor's frailty. Each word fueled my anger and grief. I'd never sought their money, only fairness. Caldwell responded with precision, presenting bank records showing the $600,000 theft, witnesses recounting years of slights, and medical proof of Eleanor's sound mind. The video of Elaine's public meltdown played. Her own words, "We deserve that money." We raised her, damning her. I watched her blanch, lips quivering. I stood, voice shaky but growing firm. "I'm not here to take." For 30 years, I was unseen in the only home I knew, excluded from photos, mocked in worn clothes, denied even tuition. My parents' legacy was spent on their children. I asked only to be recognized as worthy of justice. The silence was vast, my heart beat loud, but I held steady. Judge Morrison leaned forward, her eyes piercing. The evidence and testimony confirm the will's validity. The estate is awarded to Clarabelle Thornton. Harold and Margaret Hayes must repay the misappropriated $600,000 with interest, totaling $1.8 million. Case closed. Her gavel struck, a sound of release. Harold slumped, Margaret sobbed. Victor's bravado vanished, and Elaine leapt up, shrieking, "This is fraud. She's a parasite." Bailiffs restrained her as she screamed down the hall. I sat, tears falling, squeezing Eleanor's hand. She whispered, "You've won, my dear, and you've earned it." Her words filled the void of their defeat. For the first time, justice bore my name. The verdict echoed like a shockwave. Newspapers splashed my image, headlines proclaiming, "Adopted daughter triumphs over greedy family." The photo showed me standing tall, composed, a woman finally heard. TV anchors replayed Elaine's meltdown, her words a symbol of hubris undone. The public listened, not laughed. When a local station requested an interview, fear stirred. Cameras had twisted my story before. But this time I'd speak. Under studio lights, I said, this fight wasn't just about inheritance. It was surviving a home where I was never a daughter, constantly reminded I was less. This ruling restores dignity, not just mine, but for every adopted child told they're unworthy. The studio hushed, then applause surged, carrying my words nationwide. Letters flooded in from adoptees, foster kids, and others who'd felt invisible, thanking me for voicing their pain. I left the studio lighter, the weight of decades lifted, not because the past changed, but because I'd claimed it and refused silence. Weeks later, amid legal filings and headlines, Eleanor faded. I sat by her bedside, lavender scent in the air. Her eyes, when open, still burned with fire. One evening, she grasped my hand, voice faint but firm. "Clarabelle, never let them define you. You're my legacy, not for what I've given, but for your courage to fight." Tears fell as I promised to honor her with the life I'd build. Days later, she passed peacefully, her hand in mine. Grief tore through me, but her gift, strength not wealth, endured. A year later, I stood in the Eleanor Foundation's glass tower, a charity I founded to protect cast-aside foster children. Photos of smiling kids lined the walls, glowing with hope. Headlines now called me a leader, a woman who turned pain into purpose. A financial magazine dubbed me Clarabelle Thornton, from scars to strength. Harold and Margaret retreated to a small apartment. Victor's marriage crumbled under debt, and Elaine's empire fell to bankruptcy. She emailed, pleading for forgiveness and funds. I deleted it without pause. They'd undone themselves with greed. On the balcony, Portland's sunset warmed me, Eleanor's words echoing, "The sweetest revenge is living the life they thought you couldn't." And I had.